So AI is just everywhere, right? It's changing our entire world at a crazy speed. And you know where else it's popping up? In our classrooms. We're in this massive rush to teach the next generation how to build and use AI, but it brings up this huge question. Are we just teaching them to be smart, or are we teaching them how to be, well, good?
And that's really the heart of the matter, isn't it? I mean, this isn't just about cranking out kids who can code. It's about nurturing a generation of responsible creators. Think about it. When you're giving someone the keys to build the future, you better make sure they have a moral compass to point them in the right direction.
So here's the big problem that a lot of researchers are starting to flag. The way we teach AI right now, it creates this dangerous divide. On one side, you've got all the technical stuff, the coding, the algorithms, and then way over on the other side, if it's even there at all, you have ethics, treated like a totally separate class.
This whole situation leads to something critics have a name for: ethic washing. You know what that is? It's when ethics becomes just another box to check off. It's that last chapter in the textbook that everyone skims. And the risk here is huge. We could end up with these incredibly brilliant programmers who can build amazing, powerful systems, but who have almost no gut instinct for how their work actually impacts society.
So this really lays out the two roads we can go down. The path we're on now, it's all about technical skills first. Learn how to build the thing, and then maybe we'll talk about the why or the should we later on. But what if we just flip that on its head? This new proposal suggests a totally different way, an integrated approach, where values aren't an afterthought. They are the absolute core of every single lesson, right from the start.
Okay, so let's dig into this solution, because it's pretty exciting. We're not just talking about adding another ethics class to the schedule. No, this is about a complete rethink, a fundamental shift in how we teach AI from the ground up.
And this is the big idea they came up with: value-based AI education. The whole point is to make it impossible to even think about an algorithm without also thinking about whether it's fair. You can't learn about how to collect data without also learning about being transparent and safe. The values aren't sprinkled on top, they're woven right into the technical fabric of the lesson.
And this quote from the researchers who did the study, Han and Hong, just nails it. They say, the goal is an integrated approach of understanding, utilization, value. It's like a three-legged stool, right? You need to understand the tech, you need to know how to use it, but you have to ground it all in human values. You take one of those legs away, and the whole thing just falls apart.
So what does that actually look like in a classroom? Well, the whole curriculum was built around these core values, things like human centricity, making sure AI is actually serving people, not the other way around, fairness, safety, transparency. But here's the important part. These aren't just buzzwords on a poster. They're treated as actual, concrete design principles for students to work with.
All right, so it's a great idea in theory, but how do you actually take that philosophy and turn it into something a teacher can use in a classroom? Because, let's be real, having a great idea is one thing. Building a curriculum that works, that's a whole other ballgame.
And believe me, these researchers didn't just wing it. They followed this super rigorous multi-step process. First, they looked at all the existing guidelines. Then, they brought in groups of experts and teachers to pick topics and values that made sense for different ages. They drafted the curriculum in teams, and then, and this is key, they put those drafts through multiple, intense rounds of reviews. This was a serious academic effort to get it right.
And this is where it gets really smart. The curriculum is totally tailored to different age groups. For the little kids in elementary school, you're talking about AI that makes cool art, but right away you connect that to being responsible and not misusing it. For middle schoolers, you dive into how a game recommends what you should play next, and boom, that's a lesson on transparency. By the time they're in high school, they're tackling really meaty stuff like explainable AI, which ties directly into reliability.
Okay, so the theory is solid, the curriculum is built. But here's the million-dollar question. Does any of this actually work? Like when you put it in a real classroom with real kids, what happens?
So, to find out, they ran a big real-world test. And we're not talking about a handful of students here. They brought in 291 students from elementary, middle, and high schools.
And those students were taught by 13 different teachers who implemented this brand new curriculum.
And the result? Drumroll, please. Out of a 5-point scale for satisfaction, the students gave it a whopping 4.16.
Now let's break that feedback down a bit, because this is where it gets really interesting. Yeah, satisfaction was high, and so was their interest level. But look at these last 2 points. This is everything. Students said they understood the value of AI. That scored a 4.25. But they also said they understood the problems with AI, and that scored a 4.01. This is the whole point. They got a balanced, nuanced perspective. They saw both sides of the coin.
This chart gives us a fantastic snapshot of what it was like to be in that classroom. What were they most excited about? No big surprise, right? Learning new AI technology. But it wasn't all easy. What was their biggest challenge? They felt the problems were too hard for the time given. And honestly, that's kind of the sweet spot, isn't it? The material was exciting, but it was also genuinely challenging.
So after all that, what's the final verdict? What do we really learn from this whole experiment, and what are the roadblocks still in the way?
Well, the verdict is in, and it's pretty clear this was a huge success. The students were super satisfied, they were engaged, and most importantly, the main goal was achieved. They didn't just learn how to code an algorithm, they learned how to think critically about the thing they were building. The integrated model? Yeah, it works.
But it wasn't a perfect victory lap. The study also put a spotlight on some very real practical hurdles. Teachers admitted the new curriculum was somewhat difficult to teach, and everybody, teachers and students alike, pointed to the same big constraints. Just not enough class time to really dig into these tough topics, and not enough of the basic infrastructure, like enough computers or a solid internet connection.
And that really leaves us with this final powerful question to chew on. This research seems to show that our kids are totally ready for this. They're excited to learn about AI in a way that actually weaves a moral compass right into the code. The real question now is, are our schools, are they ready and are they willing to give teachers the time, the training, and the tools to actually make it happen?